What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Coach Black, your internet relationship and breakup coach. Today's topic, this is the real reason your ex comes back after leaving you. Now, in this video, we're going to address actually 5 reasons. The last 2 are the most important, or I'd say most significant and intentional. The other 3 probably happen more frequently. So pay attention. You're going to get value from this. I'm going to try to rush through this so I don't run super long. So I'm long-winded, okay? So I got my list here. I got 5 things. I'm going to expand on them as much as I can. But hopefully you get value from this. If you have any thoughts, comments, questions, drop them down in the comment section below. Without further ado, let's just jump into it. Reason number 1 is that your ex is bored. Let me say this, these 5 reasons won't even happen if you're not in no contact, for the most part. See, most times, and I've talked about this in other videos, a breakup does not happen by accident. It doesn't happen most times for the reason that your ex is saying. It happens because over time in the relationship, your ex has lost interest in you. Their attraction to you has dropped. Now, when I say this term, people think about attraction as far as physical attractiveness. That's not what I mean. You know, as human beings, the way we process and see if someone is attractive goes beyond the physical. I mean, I'm sure you've been on a date with someone who might be extremely attractive, and then as soon as they're open their mouth, you're just like, okay, next, all right? It's the same thing. But what happens in a long-term relationship, it's usually other things. It's the habits. It's how you talk about yourself. It's, you know, sometimes being extremely needy or being desperate, putting up with disrespect. A lot of these things kind of give your ex information about how you compare with them. And most times your ex starts to get this pit in their stomach. They start to get uncomfortable when their perceived gap between you and them grows. So if they start to feel like they're doing you a favor by being with you, if they start to feel like being with you is not necessarily in their best interest or they can do better, they start thinking and processing leaving the relationship before they actually do. This is why a lot of times you'll see that the end of the relationship, there's a lot of fights because your ex, on one hand, is having an internal struggle with themselves. They might see the positive values and things about you, but they still have that gnawing feeling and doubt about if you are a good match for them. So they'll have a lot of fights. Sometimes they may tell you, I'm confused, or you might have had space before they eventually left. So anyway, most times because of this, because of the drawn out nature, at least emotionally and psychologically of a breakup, most people go into what's called the relief phase. They flee, they run from all of this heightened emotions and anxiety. And so if you are constantly texting or trying to talk, you're not even going to see them coming back for any reason. Right? You won't see them reaching out to you for any reason because being away from you is more comfortable. It's less emotionally volatile. And also, you're likely hurt. If your ex is not a complete asshole, for lack of a better word, they don't want to see you in that state. They don't want to see you crying and making them feel bad about their decision. And I'm not saying that's what you're intending to do. So anyway, so you go into no contact. These are the first 5 reasons you're going to see. Number 1, your ex is bored. They're bored. They haven't heard from you for some time. And just like how you get into a routine with someone, maybe you guys talked every single day, or they would call you on their drive to or from work. These little things can be triggers. And just in a moment, your ex can give in to those impulses. Now, it doesn't mean that their intentions are genuine. It doesn't mean that they want to fix the relationship. And so I want you to pay attention to this. You must always be reacting and responding to most of your ex's reach outs with a level of indifference, with a lack of interest for the most part, because you need to change the power dynamic for sure. And so think about, what does it say about you if they basically treated you poorly, walked away, acted like you weren't good enough for them? Sometimes they monkey branch, started dating someone else. What does it say about you if literally all they say is, hey, how are you doing? And you start professing your feelings and how much you miss them and how much you love them. Okay, that will turn them off, and most times they'll stop texting you. There's too much pressure too soon. I'll say this: if your ex reaches out to you for any reason, I've talked about the difference in the masculine and the feminine. I don't want to spend too much time on that here. For the guys, if your ex-girlfriend reaches out to you, it's okay to initiate or say, hey, why don't we get together to do something? Provided you guys didn't just break up yesterday. Guys, some time has passed. It's okay for you to initiate getting together. If the answer is no, right? They give you an excuse, they're busy, whatever it is, never ask again, okay? And don't be worried. Don't be afraid of, well, if I don't ask, like, is she gonna change her mind, or will she ever ask me? The fact that you asked once and she said no, if she was interested, a very key indicator of where your ex's feelings and interest in her is a willingness to bond with you in person. So whenever she's in that place and you say, let's get together, she'll agree. Or if she says no today, she'll reach out to you in the future and ask to get together, okay? And then for the ladies, just, it's okay to respond, but if he's not asking you to do something, then you can leave the conversation. You're busy, hey, good to hear from you, take care, whatever, right? You see how you're unattached. You're not showing any high level of interest, okay? It's very important. Number two is that they reach out to you for transactional reasons. See, this happens often, and it may look differently depending on your ex background and so on. So for example, a guy that dumped you, for the ladies, might be reaching out to you to come over so he can hook up with you. So it's a very one-sided relationship. What you're looking for is mutual effort. Okay, very important. And really, in the breakup situation, you want them to be putting in most of the effort. So if the interaction you're having, right, you are putting most of the effort, right? For example, you shouldn't be texting them, but you're texting them, you'll see that your bubbles are longer. They're taking hours to respond. They send you one word. That's a sign of a lack of interest. Have you ever been on a date with someone that it just, like, the date wasn't going well? Maybe they just didn't like you that much for whatever reason. And you're trying to have a conversation with them and it's like pulling teeth. See, breakup dynamics are very similar because, you know, engaging with your ex is not necessarily a good thing if their interest is not high. Okay, it's a very similar scenario to going on a date with someone who doesn't like you. Maybe you've asked them 20 times and they finally agree, and they just get there and they just sit and look at the ceiling. Right? It's the same thing. So you want to strike while the iron is hot, while they're showing high interest. And high interest usually correlates with effort. Okay, so if you're not as into the conversation but they are pushing it forward, or you try to leave and they say, no, like, you know, when are you free? When are you available? That's a good sign. They're not just trying to take from you. Sometimes your ex, you know, might be, you know, they got ghosted for the first time. They're starting to see the grass isn't greener. So they're looking for emotional support and validation. It's still transactional. So your ex-girlfriend wants to text or talk over the phone, but it's not a good idea to see each other in person. She's just using you for the attention and validation and to soothe herself, to feel better, because you're a guarantee, right? You're always going to be there as a backup. And as soon as she gives you any little crumb, you start professing your love and feelings and telling her there's no one else like her. And she stops responding as soon as she gets the validation. So that's what you'll notice about transactional reach outs, it's that as soon as they get what they're looking for, they're gone again. So as soon as the guy gets the sex, as soon as the girl or the guy, gets the ego boost, they leave you on red, they ghost you. So you want to be very indifferent. And like I said, a quick, simple test or mindset you should be thinking is, how much effort are they putting into this? If they don't want to see you, they're never bringing up getting together, they always have excuses, right? And they still expect you to do most of the work, they're wasting your time. You need to leave those conversations. Number 3 is that they're just curious. See, especially depending on how you handle the breakup, right? We talk about how emotionally taxing breakups can be. And I know that you are going through that now. I know you've experienced that pit in your stomach, that feeling of, not wanting to eat, not wanting to talk to anyone, just wanting to stay home all day, right? And as hard as those feelings are, a lot of times you don't handle the breakup as gracefully as possible. You might have become needy because you're fighting to save the relationship you believe in. You're fighting because right now you're like, this is my person. They just don't realize what they're losing. All right, so you do all the needy things. You've sent the paragraphs. You've called them, their friends, or you've done all the things. So especially if you were a person that handled the breakup that way, and you eventually find out about no contact and you stay away, most times your ex will be curious about you. What happened to her? What happened to him? He just fell off the face of the earth, right? He's never gone this long without breaking or calling or checking on me. So they're just curious. And so sometimes you get the indirect or watching your stories or talking to other people about you, or they just flat out text you, oh, how have you been? Right? They're just fishing. They're fishing just to see where you're at. If there's no effort, if there's no strong desire, like I said, if they've rejected you once, never bring up getting together again. Let them do it. And they will. Tell you, if they want something that badly, they will bring it up. See, the other day I had I changed mortgage providers. Like I refinanced my home years ago. And anyway, so I got a letter in the mail, and I think during the transaction, there was some amount of money. Basically, this other mortgage company I used to have, they owe me money, right? They sent the letter once. Do you think they're gonna have to come knocking on my door? Hey, Mr. Black, here's your X amount of dollars. Oh, I'm going to reach out to them to get my money, okay? So when the person in question has a need, it's the same reason why you watch these videos. If I made a video about my shoe shining routine, you're probably not gonna watch it, right? So when you have an internal need or desire for said thing, there's more urgency and there's more willingness to put in effort. So in my case with this mortgage company, I think I gotta fill out some paperwork. I gotta send something off in the mail. It's a little bit of a hassle, but I will do it. It's worth it to get that money back. So it's the same thing, okay? So curiosity, same thing. If they're not showing interest, leave the conversation. Don't beg them, because you have worth as well. And they know this. That's why they're texting you. All right? If you are completely worthless or added no value to their life, they would not be reaching out to you. So you need to start believing this. You need to start coming from a place of knowing that it's only a matter of time, of knowing that you are a person of value. You deserve to be treated with respect. Reason number 4 is they reach out to you because they're afraid. Now, this happens usually after some time has passed. And also, let's say you post something that triggers them. Maybe they think you're on a date. And I'm not saying like people do stuff like that and it's just obvious, right? That you're faking it, trying to get attention, but maybe they saw you out in public, or you haven't talked to them for a month and a half, and now they see you on a dating app. And instantly they get that trigger of fear, because on one hand, they thought the grass would be greener, and most times they realize it's not. You know, if your ex is normal, dating is difficult. You know, finding love and finding a deep, strong connection is not easy. And so they realize, okay, I'm not finding the so-called replacement. Also, their ego, when they left you, was super high. They thought that they were the best thing since sliced bread. And now they're looking at you and your life is looking great and you're potentially moving on to someone else, and they get fearful and they reach out to you. And you'll notice this is a better sign, because you'll see there's more urgency. Now, it's still not coming from a totally selfless place, right? It's because of their own anxiety and fear, which is fine. It's a good place to start. But you'll see there's more urgency and there's more of a desire to see you. And so you can accept things like that, but you should not be giving away, you know, titles in relationships so quickly. You shouldn't be giving away exclusivity, like, oh, I'm not going to date anyone else. They walked away from you. So you need to allow them to earn your love back. You need to allow them to win you over. Okay, start thinking from that perspective. All right, they're not coming back because they want to do your favor. So obviously you are a catch. You start thinking like that. Reason number 5 is they reach out to you because they've processed. They've healed. They've gone to therapy. They fixed all the issues that they had while they were with you. And they realized that you were a great partner. See, what I want you to know, okay, is that what is truly for you will never escape you. It'll find its way back in one way or the other. Now, let me be clear. I'm not telling you to sit and wait for your ex, because I don't think every relationship is meant to be fixed. That's just not the case. And I don't believe in one soulmate, because I'll get people comment that, oh, they're my soulmate. I believe that you probably have multiple people that you can build a strong relationship with. Now, maybe not hundreds, but maybe a couple of dozen, okay? And so you can have a strong, genuine, deep connection with your ex, but you might still be able to replicate that kind of connection. I'm not saying it'd be easy with someone else, but in a healthier way. So the point is, situations like scenario 5 only happen usually after a good amount of time, maybe a year, maybe a couple of years. So obviously it will make no sense for you to be sitting and waiting for your ex for a couple of years. So if you're in that situation, I want you to be more focused on yourself, more focused on your life. You will get through this, right? That is for sure. And I want you to start thinking from a place of abundance. Okay, you are deserving of love, and you are built and created from love. So you're not missing anything, right? You don't need to seek these things outside of you. Give yourself the love that you're looking for, and a lot of times you'll naturally attract it back to you. Okay, and so I'll say all that to say scenario 5 is also a good situation, but most times that happens multiple years later. And I've seen that. I've seen people get back together after 2 years, a year and a half. But there was a period of being apart, learning, and growing separately, right, before reconnecting in the future. But at the end of the day, like at the highest level, I need you to be okay with walking away. Seriously. I need you to be okay with that outcome. Now, a lot of times, if you at least can engage yourself to think from that perspective, you'll naturally do a lot of the things that I suggest for you to do. And it's extremely attractive. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the future videos that I put out. If you want to talk to me about your situation, click the first link in the description. I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to support you. And subscribe to the channel, all right? I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.